Welcome to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. We are at NJTV Studios in Newark, and please introduce Craig Carpenito, is the U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey. Good to see you.
How you doing, Steve?
Doing great. For those who don't know what that job is, describe it.
Okay, so I'm the Chief Law Enforcement Officer for the federal government in the state of New Jersey. I'm responsible for all criminal prosecutions in the state of New Jersey brought by the federal government, as well as any case where the United States government is a party in a civil litigation.
Let me try this. There's a whole range of issues you're in your office to deal with. And you're not the Attorney General's office. You are the Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer here. Top issues: violent crime, quality of life.
Absolutely.
Make the connection.
Yeah. So look, coming into the job, my view was, how can I make the greatest impact? The greatest impact, right? The purpose of the job is to make life better for the citizens of New Jersey, the law-abiding citizens. So what I saw was that in the prior administration, I thought the federal government had taken a backseat to the state government with regards to violent crime, the drug problem in the state. And what it did was it took out of law enforcement's toolbox a very valuable tool, right? I mean, the federal government has tools it uses to prosecute these cases that the state just doesn't have. Well, we have the ability, number one, usually to keep people in. When someone goes before a judge after an arrest in the federal government, given bail reform at the state level, we have a lot more success keeping them in. If they're a violent criminal, if there's somebody that has a long historical past, if there's someone who we think is a risk of flight, putting them in gives us more tools to help get cooperators and to work cases and get deeper within organizations. And that's something I was hearing from the state and local law enforcement officers that really had dissipated with bail reform.
But deal with this gang violence issue and its impact on quality of life. We've talked to the public safety director in the city of Newark, Anthony Ambrose, many times about this, and you work closely with Anthony and his team. Talk about the connection between quality of life and gang violence.
Yeah. So one of the first people I met when I found out I was going to be the U.S. Attorney was Anthony Ambrose. From my perspective, Anthony is a national treasure, somebody who's been in this city for 32 years. The thing he brought to me was the way that law enforcement overall, the state AG's office, the local county prosecutors, the United States Attorney's office, was dealing with gang violence was reactive enforcement. What he talked to me about was getting involved in proactive investigation. So reactive enforcement is there's a shooting, go to the scene, investigate the shooting, try to arrest the perpetrator on that particular shooting, but not really going down into the layers of the gang, not really learning about the gang, not really using the intelligence that we have in the law enforcement community to try and proactively get into the organizations to stop the violence before it occurs.
Okay, so now that that's happened, tangible impact?
Huge
Results?
impact. The gang cases that we're working on are up 56% in the United States Attorney's Office.
I mean, the number of
I've
cases.
The number of cases we're prosecuting. We've collected almost 500 guns through trigger lock prosecutions and other gang-related prosecutions. Trigger lock is a law on the federal level where if you have been prosecuted and convicted of a prior felony, you can't carry a gun going forward. We can use that statute when we find a prior felon with a gun to make an arrest for that. We can use it to incarcerate them, but more importantly, we get the gun off the street. And since I've been in office, we've taken out 486 guns. And Steve, the impact of this to me cannot be overstated. We're not talking about a gun buyback program where people who have guns they don't want anymore sitting around at home, bringing them in and selling them back to the state or federal government. Guns that weren't going to be used in street crimes. These are guns taken off of criminals. These are guns taken off the street. Almost 500 less guns. What does that result in? A lot less shootings. Shootings are down about 30% in Newark. Shootings are down about 30% in Jersey City, where we also have a violent crime initiative. The result is what Anthony tells me is going to be an announcement later this year that is the lowest number of homicides in Newark's history. Now that's coming off of a 50-year low last year. We're going to be about 14% down on those homicides again this year.
We're talking to Craig Carpenito, U.S. Attorney in the District of New Jersey. The opioid crisis. How is that in any way the purview of the U.S. Attorney's Office?
So the opioid crisis hits on a number of levels, and we are the best suited to prosecute it at every level. You have the corporate crisis going on with the opioid crisis. You have the producers and the creators and the disseminators of those drugs, right? You have corporations that are pumping them out onto the streets at levels where Quite frankly, we think the evidence shows some of these manufacturers should have known that they were being misused and misdirected. We have the doctors, the physicians.
Who are involved in this?
They're bad prescribers. I mean, we've seen a couple of cases we brought earlier this year. We had a takedown in September where we arrested a number of doctors that were basically pill mills. One doctor referred to himself as the El Chapo of opioids. These are guys that are basically...
These are licensed physicians?
Well, they won't be for long. But these are licensed physicians using their license to basically sell prescriptions to profit off of the opioid crisis. And then we have the street opioid distribution. We have the folks that are out there running pill mills, pressing fentanyl, representing it to be something that's not, and resulting in overdose deaths.
Wow. Ongoing crisis. Has to be dealt with on several levels, right?
Yeah, it has to be. Look, you have to hit it at all three levels. Again, similar to the violent crime initiative that we have going on, we're not just going to reactively prosecute cases. We're trying to get into intelligence-driven prosecutions by trying to attack the crisis at all three levels.
Another area I want to get into. We mentioned Anthony Ambrose, the police director, the head of public safety in the city of New York. He participated in a comprehensive, multi-part series we did a couple of years ago on police and the minority community. The issue of excessive force on the part of law enforcement professionals. A, how serious a problem? B, what is the U.S. Attorney's Office doing about it?
So I think it's a very serious problem. I mean, when you think about what law enforcement is there for, law enforcement is supposed to make people feel safer in their community. They're supposed to give the people the confidence to go out of their homes and feel safe when they walk outside. When a law enforcement officer takes that authority and becomes part of the problem, it's something to me that is one of the most dramatic and most impactful crimes on the community that can be committed. I think our office is uniquely situated to deal with these issues because we both work with law enforcement and we're responsible for policing public safety. So, we have to step in at times and we have to deal with these issues. You saw recent cases we brought were the Romantino case down in Camden.
Yes.
Where Officer Romantino, in our view, used excessive force when making an arrest of an individual, punching him 12 times in the back of the head. We had video of it. We brought it to a jury. The jury ultimately acquitted him.
Acquitted him?
Acquitted
When
him.
that happens, U.S. Attorney Carpenito, your office, your reaction is?
It's a very difficult thing to deal with, but there are certain cases that you have to bring regardless of the outcome. And these are cases we're not going to stop
What, to send
prosecuting.
a message?
We have to do it to show the community that we're here and we're not going to turn a blind eye to
And also, what about showing
conduct.
those in the law enforcement community who would act in such horrific ways?
You need to know that you're going to be held responsible for your conduct. Another case is the
seconds
Nucera
left, go ahead.
case. Yeah, the Nucera case that was also brought down in Camden, where we charged for the first time in a decade a law enforcement officer with a hate crime because of his aggression towards a minority youth who was arrested at a hotel. The allegation is that Frank Nucera, a longtime chief of Bordentown Police Department, smashed the head of this individual into a door jamb, giving him a concussion. The impact on his face was visible from the photographs afterwards. The jury hung on those counts, on the hate crime counts. We're going to try them again. Whether win or lose, these are too important of cases for us to bring. We have to do it.
You've been listening to U.S. Attorney Craig Carpenito, the entire state of New Jersey. He's the chief federal law enforcement officer in the state of New Jersey. We thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Steve.
Well said. Make sure you come back in a few months and give us an update.
Sounds good.
Stay right there. I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be right back.
Perfectly orchestrated, in sync with your life. Hackensack Meridian Health is redefining how health and care come together. Because when everything works together, your world gets better. Hackensack Meridian Health, life years ahead.
Also brought to you by the New Jersey Education Association, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, Delta Dental of New Jersey. Everyone deserves a healthy smile. And by New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation.